Good evening, I am Andrea Brace, and this is my Meso observation presentation for MSW 6100. For this observation, I was recently in Washington, D.C., and I was attending a conference. On my way home from the conference, heading back to the Airbnb, my coworker and I stopped at a grocery store, and I waited outside. This was located on a busy street that had a parking garage across the street. It was midday, it was sunny, and this was a gentrified neighborhood with a mix of older townhomes and new condo buildings. And there were signs on the grocery store, that said backpacks were not allowed and kids under 14 could not enter without an adult. While I was standing outside, a mom who was in her early 30s and her preteen son walked towards the grocery store. From a distance, they seemed to be talking and catching up from the day. I was assuming, because I couldn't hear anything initially, that they were talking about his school day. He had a book bag, and they seemed to just be having a nice casual conversation. They were walking close to each other. They seemed relaxed, and it took them a few minutes to get up to where I was. Once they got closer to me, the tone changed of their conversation and their interactions, and she started talking aggressively towards him. So, like I said, at this point I couldn't hear their conversation, but she started raising her voice. She questioned a smell that was coming off of his clothes and his bag, and he didn't respond right away. He stepped kind of away from her. He got small. He appeared scared, and she repeatedly asked him where the smell came from. After a few minutes, he told her he got it from a friend at school, and she really got angry then, and she started yelling at him. She was saying things like, "I told you never to take anything from anyone. This was stupid and dangerous." She was cussing quite a bit, and the boy seemed to get more scared, and he apologized repeatedly. She told him that when they got home, she was going to beat his ass raw, and that made me really uncomfortable. I kind of really didn't know what to do. But at that point, my coworker came out and we ended up leaving, going back towards the Airbnb. So the theory I used to evaluate the situation was the systems theory, and that's looking at behavior as the result of interactions between people and their social systems. And one of the key components I considered were boundaries, and these are the patterns of behavior that define relationships. So in this case, it was the mom and the son. The mom set the rules. He didn't follow the rules. The son was potentially testing boundaries. He's an adolescent, so he's growing and learning, or he's potentially giving into peer pressure. Another consideration are roles, and these are the cultural sanctioned patterns of behavior expected from individuals within the system. She's expected to parent her child, not threaten the child. She's supposed to help him learn and grow. And he is learning, growing, testing boundaries, trying to figure out who his identity is at school, and etc. And the other consideration from systems theory that I looked at was reciprocity. And this is where there's a necessity for change in one part of the system to impact another. So a change in the mom's behavior triggers an expected change in the son's behavior. So if it's a positive change, I saw his behavior relaxed. When it became a negative change, he became fearful, he shrunk into himself, and this can be problematic because this can be cyclic, and this can lead to the child withholding information from her, doing riskier behaviors. That would then lead to more anger from her, and so forth. So engagement strategies in this situation would include rapport building, so trying to build trust between the mom and myself and the child. I would use a strengths-based approach where I begin by acknowledging the family's efforts and the consideration for the relationship. So say something like, "It's clear you care about your child and want what's best for them." And then also create psychological safety by ensuring that both the mom and the child feel heard separately when there are joint sessions. Assessment approaches would be looking for underlying causes of the mom's anger. So does she have a trauma history? Is there substance abuse in her history? Financial stress, lack of support, things like that. And then look at communication patterns. So is anger making fear or hopelessness bigger than it needs to be? Is the child's school issues potentially a form of coping or rebellion? Are they at a higher risk of using ATOD substances because of what's going on? And applicability to future professional development would be practicing the observation skills, assessing different levels of interaction and impacts, using these observations and using a theoretical framework to provide structure, and then using that theoretical framework to make connections and help develop a clear assessment plan. And these are my references. Thank you.